our drills are designed, number one, to teach technique, all right, and to build conditioning. We are not wasting any time. We're not going to talk a whole lot. We're going to coach on the run, and we're going to get as many reps as we possibly can in the allotted time that we have. If your guard's on this track, then the fullback has to be on this track here. Right. He's got to be behind, okay, behind and a little deeper so that he can see that and read it around, or he can see the kick and then he can go inside. If he's directly behind the guy, you're going to have a real problem.
In this video, we talked to former New England Patriots offensive line coach Dante Scarnecchia, who arguably is one of the best offensive line coaches to ever coach the game. He played a major role in helping keep Tom Brady upright by being extremely technical and diligent with his offensive line. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about base blocking, gap blocking, double team blocking, as well as pull blocking. Coach also goes over different ways you can help set up your drills to be more efficient. So let's go check it out. All right, so Coach, I recently heard you say at a clinic that one of the most important things in a drill setting is the person holding the bag. And I thought that was very interesting because I haven't seen anyone really talk about that before. Can you talk a little bit more about why that person holding the bag is so important?
I think it's important that they hold the bag firm against their body. Those two hand straps that are behind most bags, to me, are useless.
Right.
Okay. We never hold the bag that way. We hold the bag at the bottom, we hold the bag at the top, and we fit the bag into the defender's body, okay? So that he doesn't get, slaughtered as far as guys hitting him and stuff. He's got a lot of he's got 6 inches of protection in front of him, right. Okay? So, we think that that's important so that he gives us a firm target to hit. The other thing is that he gives us the appropriate post-contact response. So if I'm trying to hook him to the outside, okay, and theorizing that the ball's going to that side, I'm trying to get positional leverage. Right. We expect him to move with the blocker and respond to the blocker's angle and continue to follow the blocker's angle and give him the response and give him pressure so that he's building strength and stamina and all the rest of the stuff so that you're getting a look that's appropriate that you would want to see in a game. So we have no tolerance for guys when the ball is snapped and they're holding the bag to stand there like a bunch of iron deers on the lawn because they're not doing us any good. So we coach the bag holders, and it's important for us because we want them to simulate as much as we can, Chris, how the game's going to be played.
Right. I think that's so interesting too, because especially at the high school level, you get guys that are just tired in the summer or whatever it is, and they're just holding the bag like this, like you said, and a lot of times you'll see the contact point go away, the bag goes way above the head, and it's not actually simulating hitting the body and striking the body. So, for you to say we actually coach up the bag holders, I think is super interesting because typically guys are standing up with the bags away from their bodies, and you're getting not so quality reps when you're wasting 2, 3, 4 minutes of just hitting nothing, air, because the bag will have no press against the body. So I think that's super interesting. That's why I wanted to bring that up.
But I would add one other thing to it. And, as when we say coach the bag holders, okay, everyone in the room is going to hold the bag. Okay. Right. There's no sacred cows. I don't care who they are. Once they've taken their turn, they exchange and they hold the bag for the next guy. And you can name any of the really good players that we've had over a long period of time, and they're all going to hold the bag, and they're all going to be trained to hold it appropriately. And I would tell you this, they'll hear about it more, and I'm talking about the guys holding the bag will hear about it more from the blockers than they will me. And I'm a tough guy to beat on that one now. But the bagger will say, come on, man, you got to help me here. And because it is important to them.
Right. And Coach, just sticking on the drill theme, which, in your opinion, what's a good pace of drill? Do you have any parameters when you're building drills or setting things up that I need to have X amount of guys moving at a certain time, or I can't have any lines exceed this many people? Is there any parameters that you have when you're building a drill for?
I think you're going to get out of every drill you do, okay, what you put into that drill. So how you design your drills relative to the technique that you're trying to teach is hugely important. I'll give you an example. Like, let's say the traditional blocking drill for linemen is the boards, shoots.
Right.
We don't use shoots, but a lot of teams do.
Yeah.
So you have boards with a blocker or the defender holding a bag. You got shoots or whatever, and it is very painful for me to watch five guys, or let's say four guys on four boards, hitting a bag, driving that thing off the board, all right, until the whistle's blown. Because all our drills start with the snap counter and end with a whistle.
Right.
Everyone, okay, without doubt. So you're going to take these guys off the boards, okay? You're going to blow the whistle, and now you're going to wait for the 8 guys to come back. That's too much time for me. I can't take that, okay? So what we do is, if we have, let's say we have, as an example, 16 linemen. It's early in training camp, okay? We're gonna pair everybody up. So in other words, we're going to have 4 blockers against 4 defenders. That's 8 guys. Right. So those 4 blockers go, okay? I blow the whistle when they're done, and the next 8 guys get up there. 4 bag holders, 4 blockers. So the other guys are coming back, and the next guys are going. By the time those guys, the first guys went, they came back. They're already on the board, right, and we're not wasting any time. Our drills are designed, okay, to go fast and to go hard with not a whole lot of coaching going on. Yes, we'll say, hey, you got to get your head more to this side. You got to get better leverage in that. But that's all when they're coming back. I mean, and the next guys are setting up. So, you know, we're coaching on the run, and I just feel like it's really important. Our drills are designed, number one, to teach technique, all right, and to build conditioning. We are not wasting any time. We're not going to talk a whole lot. We're going to coach on the run, and we're going to get as many reps as we possibly can in the allotted time that we have. Yeah. And I think that's hugely important. I'll give you another example. You're teaching outside zone reach or cutoff. To me, it doesn't matter. You can say, well, yeah, the left side's that's the call side, and they're going to reach. Well, the back side's doing exactly the same technique, right, but we're just calling them a cutoff. Right. Okay. So what we do when we are teaching outside zone, we just line up, as an example, 3 blockers on 3 bags. I don't care what side they line up on, but it's reach left or cut off left. And then we fly off the ball with all the appropriate coaching points. When I blow the whistle, wherever they are, everybody moves up, and then we go zone right. And then we go zone left. And then we go zone right until everybody's done it. We turn around, come back the other way, so they get it both ways. So it's all designed to get the absolute most out of everything you're trying to teach in that particular drill. Right. And then the logical question is, can you see everything you need to see? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. If you stand in the appropriate way, you'll see that everyone's going to drop step. Everyone's backside foot's going through and not across. Going through and not across, okay? Backside ear to front side armpit, that's what we're trying to teach. And more importantly, as importantly, backside hand underneath the backside shoulder. That is hugely important, okay? We never square our pads too soon on that. We keep the guy on our backside half all the time until the whistle blows. So everyone's going to look the same. If everyone looks the same, I don't say a whole lot other than way to go. Right. If some guy turns too fast and tries to get into the guy, and the guy's going to cross his hat, that's wrong. Right. Okay. So everything's designed to teach technique, to build conditioning. And I'm going to add a third thing, concentration, because we use 3 different snap counts without saying a whole lot. We'll go second sound. We'll go a hard third sound. Okay. We'll even have snap. We have a snap count where we actually change the snap count at the line, and we do it so because we always want them thinking, and also they're going to be in a lot of games where the quarterback's going to change things at the line. Right. We don't want the wheels to come off. We want it as close to game situations as we possibly can get it. So we're after technique, we're after concentration, and really we're after conditioning in every drill we design.
Right. And coach, can you expand a little bit on when you say you want to go as fast as you possibly can? You know, I know a lot of coaches will be watching this thinking, well, how am I able to pull a guy to the side and teach? Do you guys just go as fast as you can, and then in the film room you're breaking down every single
No,
thing?
I can get it on the run.
Okay.
Look at,
Yep.
I can see by standing in certain places, you can see if everyone's got the right pad level, if everyone has their hat where it's supposed to be, if their backside hands underneath their backside shoulder, because that's the most where your blocking surface is on this particular block, you can see all that.
Right.
You're looking at 3 guys. I mean,
Right.
it's not 5. And so, you can see everything you need to see. And then and then the other thing is no one stops until the whistle blows.
Right.
Guy stops early, that's going to get ugly.
Yeah.
It really is.
Now, coach, in those periods, where will you stand? Will you stand in front of the offensive line, behind the offensive
Oh,
line?
I'm always behind them. In fact, I'll take a snap. It's always almost always we have a center. So for that particular drill, so I'll take the snap and I see them as they go. I see the angles that they're taking. I know they're all using the right footwork and great fits. Blow the whistle after whenever you think it's appropriate to blow it. Get the next group lined up and get them going. Let's say as an example, because we're going to talk about gap blocking and all the other stuff.
Right.
But we 2-spot all our drills if we're using combination blocks. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Everyone runs the gap play or the duo play,
Right.
where you have multiple double teams. So let's say you have a double team between the center and the left guard, and between the right guard and the right tackle. We'll take the right guard and right tackle and move them about 5 yards away from the guard and tackle. And what we'll do is we'll take the guard and tackle on a double team, all right, snap the ball, or, there's no center, obviously, but we'll give them a snap count. They'll come off the ball. We'll check all the points on the double team, blow the whistle, stop it, immediately go to the guard and center and guard and do their backside double. So we go that right guard, right tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle, sub, left guard, left center, sub, until we get through everybody there. And then we'll go left guard, left tackle, right guard, center. So we flip it back and forth, and we get as many reps as we possibly can in the allotted time, or until we get everybody a rep. I think this is really important. So that's why I'm going to take the time to talk about it.
Yeah.
Everybody gets in this real big issue about, this guy's only a freshman. He ain't going to play. Or this guy's only a rookie. He's not going to play. How do you know?
Right.
You ain't going to know unless everybody gets, and more importantly, you're not going to develop your room. You're not going to develop your group unless everybody gets a shot at learning the techniques and improving the techniques. And if you do that, Chris, if your whole mission is to improve your group, improve your offense and defensive groups and your team will get better. But if you just say, well, these are 6 guys right here, the only guys that are going to play this season.
Yeah.
I got news for you. That you're living in Disneyland, because it's nice to think that you're going to have the same 5 guys starting for 17 games. You ain't going to have 7. It ain't going to happen. Yep. We went through one year where we had 5 centers. We had 5 centers take snaps for us during a season. And if you don't have enough reps and experience going, you're gonna have a real problem. Yeah. So we coach everybody. Everybody in the room is getting coached. I think this, for me, just the base drive block. Okay, that to me is just the number one board block that we use. And we started early in the off-season program. But quite honestly, the application of that block is really not as big as the fits that you're going to take on inside zone, or now what everyone calls mid zone,
Right.
outside zone, uh, duo or gap plays, uh, double teams, guard pulls, you know, angle drive blocks. To me, we use more angle drive blocks
Right.
than we do just base drive block.
Right.
Okay. Now we have them. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
Okay. We do. Like as an example, to your point on the ISO play where the fullback's got the mic and we double for the will with the on guard and center. Well, that right tackle's got an individual block,
Right.
a drive block. Okay. So, you know, where's the guy lined up on him? He's a 5 technique. He's playing outside shoulder. We're going to step slightly out with the outside foot, bring the backside foot to crotch. We're going to fit. We're going to go for an inside number fit on that because he's a 5 technique. He's in the outside shoulder. If he's more for the head up, then we're going to roll off the up foot and we're going to take more slightly to the inside fit because if he goes inside, we got to make sure we got him. So it does have application, but less application for other things we do.
Right, right. Coach, you talk a little bit more just you know, hand placement, where you want to drive off, you know, the insides of your feet. Like, what are the coaching points that you use where I want to make contact with my hands? You know, that a youth or high school coach watching this right now could apply to his system with the base blocks.
Okay, so we've already talked about leverage.
Yep.
I believe this is that in blocking, okay, in run blocking, you move them with your lower body and you control them with your upper body, okay? And you have to play with all the tools you have in your box. So those huge muscles that you have in your body from the waist down and those 3 explosion points from the waist down, your hips, your knees, and your ankles, okay? Those are all lower body explosion points that coincide with the massive muscles that you have in your lower body, the calves, your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, everything, okay? It's all got to be used. That's what you use to move people with, okay? Your upper body blocking surface, which for me, and let's just say, since we're talking about base drive, okay? For me, it's face. I didn't say head. I said face and hands. And I think there's a triangle that goes with that. So our hands are going to be about 6 to 8 inches apart, and we're putting them inside the block protection of the defender. And simultaneously, on just a straight drive block, okay, our hat's going to be on top of the hands. All right, we're not leading with our face. We're leading with our hat and hands. It's a 3 surface blocking, upper body blocking surface, 3 points, face, hands, okay? Now, I think that we're doing less of that than what we have ever done before. And I think it's because we're all hypersensitive to the obvious, that elephant in the room, okay? Right. Concussion problems.
Yeah.
I don't want guys to be concussed. And I think the way that the game is being observed, and rightfully so, I think what you're going to see more out of us is more shoulders and half of bodies, okay? Because when you're running zone blocks, you seem to be on one side. When you're running double teams, you seem to be taking half a side, all the rest of that stuff. So and we also do a lot of reverse high arm, which we can talk about another time. But I'm just saying is for me, we move them with our lower body, we control them with our upper body, and the analogy I've always given with this is basically this. When I was a kid, you know, if we were lucky, we got to drive our parents' cars. When I was a kid, all those cars weighed like 5,000 pounds because they were all steel. And if they ran out of gas, you had to move them. Okay, you had to push them to the gas station or push them to maybe get a clutch, you know, pop a clutch and get them started. So if I was driving with my girlfriend, I'm not letting her push it. So she's going to steer it, and I'm going to get behind it. So I'm going to get behind. I'm going to put my hand on the trunk. Hands on the trunk. I'm going to drop my ass down, and I'm going to move it with my lower body, and I'm going to control it with my upper body. And that's the best analogy I can give to that. And if anybody wants to feel it, just take your wife out in the street and have her drive it, and you push it, and you'll get an idea what that looks like.
Yeah.
And so for me, forever, it's always been about moving them vertically off the line. So let's take as an example the center and the right guard, and they're blocking against an under defense where the nose is offset to the right guard. To me, that will always be a foot to foot, shoulder to shoulder, hand to hand double team with physical leverage underneath the block protection of the defensive tackle or the nose tackle. So I want that to look like both, and it starts with the lower body. So both their feet, okay, and I'm going to do it this way.
Yep.
They join together. When those feet come together, so do the hips, so do the shoulders, and so do the near hands to one another. Because remember, we move them with the lower body, we control them with the upper body.
Right.
So we want both shoulders to join with their hands underneath, because that gives us a broader, bigger blocking surface. And again, we're all about control and movement. So if we get into the proper fit with that block, which is our pads underneath their pads, both blockers' eyes up the field, because you're double teaming for somebody. So you have to be sensitive for run throughs or over the top flow.
Right.
So those are the fits that we want to take, because they coincide with the philosophy of physical, positional leverage, pads under pads, and also the important thing as far as working together, joining at the proper spots, and creating vertical push off the ball.
And Coach, once you get that vertical push, can you talk a little bit about the eyes, because one of them that's going to have to come off the double team. Because a lot of guys might bury their heads in, then they're not able to come off that double team.
See, but here's the thing about on any double team, the cardinal sin of any double team is for one blocker to take too much of the defender. You're only taking half. If your hat goes into that guy, you're wrong. It's a shoulder block. Okay. To me, it's a shoulder block.
Right.
If the guy's in the gap or if he's shaded, it's a shoulder block. Okay. So near shoulder, hand underneath, near shoulder, hand underneath, and we join hips, join feet, join hips, join shoulders, and it's vertical push off the ball. To your point about eyes, if I'm the inside blocker and the guy we're double teaming for is on the backside, I'm looking at him totally, but I am consumed with vertical push off the ball. The onside blocker, that guy's all the way on the backside. Your whole focus is to stay on your half and go for vertical push and peek around the corner for him coming over the top. And even then, you won't come off on him until he comes to you.
Right.
If you come off prematurely, you're going to leave the guy you're double teaming to go in behind you, and then the linebacker fills. The back can't go because the guard's left the nose tackle. There's a nose tackle in the gap, and now the guard can't get the will linebacker where the back's cutting back. Yep. So the worst thing you can do is leave prematurely. You can't leave until that guy gets to you and even with you, and then and only then would you want to come off. Right. That's one guy's opinion.
Right. That's a great opinion, Coach. Okay, so transitioning now into, I believe how you described the angle drive block. So that's just a solo block. If I'm looking, if we're running power or counter and you're looking to drive that player away, is that correct how you would describe that angle drive block?
Let's say I'm the left tackle on the gap play. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
And I have a defensive end outside of me because our backside guard is taking he and the center are doubling for the will.
Right.
Okay. So if I'm the left tackle, I got an angle drive block. So all I'm going to do is, instead of blocking you down the middle, I'm going to lead step and I'm going to block out at an angle, and I'm going to hit your inside half, because that's physical and positional leverage with where the ball's going. It's going to the other side of the line of scrimmage. Yeah, but I'm not taking this play off now. Right. I'm going to maul this guy, because on the gap play, everyone's at the point of attack. Those linebackers float to the front side. And our way of reading that play is the running back keys the mic. If the mic flows to that, he's going back.
Right.
Okay. So the idea is that that backside block that we just described with a tackle on an angle drive block, that's pretty damn important.
Right. Right. Now, Coach, do you have any coaching points of not to get beat across your face? Is there a certain leverage you can put with like your hands, your face, or wherever it may be? I know you said with that lead step, but is there a certain point where you teach your guys like, hey, this is how we don't get beat cross face, as far as like positional leverage with the, it could be a tackle or guard, or even a center that's blocking
I
back.
think it all, honestly, Chris, I think it all boils down to where is the point of aim, point of contact. So let's consider two things. We've been talking about double teams. Well, for me, if both those blockers are joined at the hip and shoulders and they're pushing on a vertical line, you shouldn't have any issues with those guys. Okay. Now let's go to the backside tackle who's got that angle drive block. Where's his aiming point? Well, it certainly isn't the middle. It's underneath the near shoulder to the base of the play side number.
Right.
We're taking half of them. Okay. We're not trying to shoot our hat across his face because then you're going to get beat front side. Yep. We're not going to go too far up the field because he's going to run around you. So we're going to lead step at a point that puts us between, again, the guy we're blocking, all right, with physical and positional leverage. So my hat goes underneath his near shoulder to the base of his play side number, and I want my feet on either side of him. Right. The base and the block is important. But I would say this about your base and all blocks. We don't want our feet ever wider than the shoulders. We never want them wider than the shoulders. We don't want them any narrower than the armpits.
Right.
You can have your feet too wide. If your feet are too wide in blocking, what happens to your lower body strength?
Essentially, yeah, it's gone, right?
It's less.
Yeah. Yep.
You can't just take your feet and put them as far apart as you can. What can you do from that position? Nothing. You can't run.
Yep.
All you can do is kind of just walrus around. So all I'm saying is you don't want your feet, you don't want to dissipate your lower body strength by having your base too wide. And there are plenty of times you'll see kids with their base too wide. Nor do you want your base too narrow because you don't have any girth underneath you. You don't have any base underneath you to sustain. All right. Because those guys are getting paid too. They're coming to hit you just as much as you're coming to hit them. So, you got to be smart about it.
Coach, this last thing here I just want to talk about as far as blocking wise, I know we mentioned power, we mentioned counter. So let's talk about power with that first back and, or we could use counter as a reference, either one, but we're going to kick out a defensive end. Okay. So can we start from the very beginning of just basic pull footwork and then what you want to see on contact as we engage that defensive end? Okay.
So let's say we're blocking counter. So for us, all right, and there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, and I never ever, I don't question anybody, whatever anybody's teaching. But number one, the guard has to. We use a lead step pull on this. So all he's going to do with his feet, he's going to take his left elbow to the side that he's going, okay, or right if he's a left guard. So he's going to throw the elbow out, and that corkscrews his upper body. He lead steps with his play side foot, and what we want to do with the guard is we want him to take his shoulders and rotate them perpendicular to the line of scrimmage, okay? And we're running flat through the center box, because if you go downhill through the center box, you're going to get too close to the center and you're going to have a problem. So you go flat through the center box, okay, and your focus goes to the end man on the line of scrimmage, all right? Usually he's going to do one of a couple of things. One, he can play outside arm free and just kind of squeeze, which means you have to hit the middle of what you see. And when you make contact with that guy, you want, again, your base opened up because this guy's expecting a headache and he's also ready to give one too, okay? So if that's what he does, he just steps across in boxes and plays outside arm free. You hit the middle of what you see. What's the middle of what I see? I don't know what he presents to you to hit, okay? I'm not trying to get my hat too far up the field on him. I'm going to hit the middle of what I see. And again, we want to hit them with our feet on either side of them. We want to lead with the hands, get the face up, okay? We're not trying to butt him off the ball or anything like that. The next thing he could do is run up the field. So then as we start our flat pull, we adjust to depth, and we again hit the middle of what we see. Now, he's helping us if he does that, but it does happen.
Right.
And then the third thing he does is to sink down inside and wrong arm the play because he wants the ball to be kicked outside or spilled outside. And if that happens as we go flat down the line, we see that he's trying to wrong arm us. Then we take our hat and we get it to his, we slide it to the outside and we turn up into him. And that's when we will allow them to turn and wall the guy outside in. Okay. So
yeah,
you have to be able to do all three of those things.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, just to expand on that a little bit. So when you're trying to really, if that guy does wrong arm you, because it's happened now with, especially with how much counter and power is being run in the spread offense nowadays. You're seeing a lot of defensive ends that are just trying to spill everything, as the term's been coined, spill and kill, right? Everyone's trying to spill it and then run it down with the safeties. So when you do get someone that does wrong arm it, you're saying you want to pin him and essentially just put him into the line of scrimmage, not letting it affect the path of the running back, where we can just kind of jam him in and tuck him in.
Yeah, I absolutely, because if he wrong arms it, we're going outside of him.
Yeah.
Now the key to that is is two things. The double team that goes for the backside linebacker, they got to get that guy. I mean, they got to get him, because when those, and especially now in this age of football, where those linebackers aren't those big, really huge guys that used to play in those positions, right, but more importantly are those really fast guys. Okay. And especially if you're in substituted defense, it may be a defensive back. So having said that, when you log that guy in with your front side guard, and then the second puller, whether he's a tackle or whether he could be a fullback, because that's who our second puller was, he had to read the front side guy. So once as he saw the guard, and let's use the fullback in this context, if he saw the guard's numbers, the backside of the back, his back numbers, he was going inside. Absolutely. Okay. If he didn't see his numbers, he was reading it around, and then he was taking the front side linebacker.
Gotcha.
And the double team had the backside linebacker.
Yeah.
So, that's why I think it's really important to be able to, if you're going to run that play, you better give it the appropriate reps it takes to be good at that play. Right. And there's some variables, but it's a good play. We like it.
For sure. Yeah. And I think, where a lot of teams get caught up is they don't have that plan B, right? Because they practice all the time. Hey, we're going to kick this defensive end out, and this tackle's going to loop up. In a perfect world, well, then you get a spill, and then that tackle runs into the guard. Like you said, he's not off, getting off his track a little bit to reroute himself. And I think that's where, especially at the high school level, you see a lot of times where it's just congested because that tackle or that fullback doesn't take that track to reposition himself, because of that wrong arm just disrupt everything.
Yeah, I think honestly, the fullback or the second puller, all right, he can't be on the same track as the guard. So if your guard's on this track, then the fullback has to be on this track here. Right. He's got to be behind and a little deeper, so that he can see that and read it around, or he can see the kick and then he can go inside. If he's directly behind the guy, you're going to have a real problem.
Right. Yeah.
You want him at two different levels, I think.
Yeah, and that's where the traffic jam happens, right? And it plays in the defense's favor. Coach, just one last thing here. I want to get your thoughts on offensive line culture and anything you did with your guys over the years, in particular. I know a lot of teams will call the line the Hogs, or they'll make T-shirts for them. Or is there anything that you did culture-wise for your offensive linemen, over the years, or is it just something that, those guys always had fun just being linemen and just being themselves?
We never did any of that, T-shirts or nicknames or any of that stuff. I think that they, all the things that we've talked about already here for a little while in terms of how we're going to practice. Okay. Look at when we go out to practice, we are going to get after it for the entire practice. Like a lot of teams will have a special teams period, okay, and guys go over and get a drink, and they wait for the special teams to get over, and then we go back to work. We ain't doing that, okay. If we don't have anybody on the special teams, we're going over there and we're going to do something. We're going to do pass protection drills. We're going to do more. In fact, for years, over the last maybe 10 years, we would have a blitz period while that was going on. Well, they were doing special teams, we would block blitzes. And so we never took time off like that. And also, I think that we really prided ourselves on the fact that we were not going to have any meetings on the field. Okay. We're not going to get out there and talk about, what we're supposed to be doing. We already did that in the classroom. Okay. We're not having a meeting on the field. We're going to go out and work, and we're going to practice really hard. And, you talked about drills earlier. To me, in this day and age where especially in pro football, where, you have 13 padded practices during the season. That's all. 13. And so everyone says, well, are they going to lose their toughness? Or are they going to, no, you can get guys to practice a certain way in shells and helmets and without banging them together, because you can't. But you can demand, you can still teach double teams in shells and helmets. I mean, because you're talking about fits and footwork and hand usage and all the rest of that. That doesn't change. Right. You can still teach pass protection techniques in drills, okay? Because to me, pass protection is all about great sets, great punch, and being able to change directions, okay? Seeing things, seeing not just your guy, but adjacent guys. You have to be able to feel things as they happen. So all that can be created in drill work, and it can be learned on the field during practice when you didn't think, when maybe others are taking time off. So back to your point about culture, I would hope that the guys that have played here would have probably said, hey, look at, our culture is right there on the walls in the meeting room.
Right.
And it's, on one wall you got, our drills are designed to build technique and to build effort and to build endurance, because we go a certain way that, no one ever goes. We practice a certain way. Like during OTAs for us, which is in the spring, we have over 60 minutes of individual period. I mean, and it would be like a Bataan death march for them, because it was always drills. And we made it as realistic as we possibly could. And even though we were in shells and we didn't slam them together now, but, we did all the things we've talked about relative to holding the bags properly and devising drills that are very much like playing the game for them. So I think that's really important. And if, I would hope that they would all look at it and say, that's the way we worked and that's the way we did things.
Right. And the proof is in the pudding. It's all the success that you were able to have throughout the years as well. Coach, any last words before we sign off, for any advice maybe to any high school or youth coaches, or even the college coaches that are watching this when coaching the offensive line?
Yeah. I think that as much as you have as much as you can, get and see how people coach the game. Go watch it. See if you can go watch a practice with the during training camp, you can get pretty damn close to everything. See how they practice and just see what's demanded of them. And I think you'd really be pleasantly surprised to see how they do things and how things are structured. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying it. We have a grandson who's a wonderful kid. Okay. And he went out for youth football, and he never played football before. This was his first. I mean, he was so happy to have a helmet on and pads, and he thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And his first practice, he didn't know nothing about football. And so obviously he made a mistake, and the coach said, go take a lap. Take a lap.
Right.
I mean, he didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And so it was like maybe 5 weeks of that. And it was just bad. He had the worst experience you could ever have. And I came home one night and, went up to see him, and, he's sitting in bed crying.
Right.
and he'll never play football. And he's amazing. This he's tall and he's big hands. He'll never play football.
Yeah.
So I think a great opportunity was lost, and a great experience for him was lost, because I know what football meant to me as a kid, and who's to say it wouldn't mean the same to him? And so, and look at, this was a team that had 18 kids out for, this was a youth team, had 18 kids out there.
Right.
And it was a team that was comprised of multiple towns. We better wake up and take a look around now. Okay. If this great game that we all love, there's a lot of kids are finding other things to do, and a lot of parents that are interested in them finding it too. So I think that it's really important that we come away or find a way to make the game not fun. The game's a hard game, but to make it so it's not as nightmarish as it was for our grandson.
Right.
And I'm just speaking from my heart.
Yep. Perfect.